Hello, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today on how you guys can maximize Canva Sheets in both the classroom and the library. I'm Jo, and I'm a primary school teacher of 20 plus years, as well as a Canva education creator, a Canvassador, and now as a Canva learning consultant. We're going to have a look at how we can use Canva Sheets to enhance our workflow, including bulk creation, the creation of rubrics, and report comment tools. Please ensure you have your Canva account open. This is going to be a really hands-on learning experience. There's going to be a couple of links here that you can access to play along at the same time so that we can get the most out of today's session. To ensure that you're accessing all of your premium features associated with your Canva education account, please make sure that you have signed in through your school email address or via your single sign-on method. Very quickly before we get started, the usual spiel, what is Canva? And there's a couple of new statistics that I wanted to share that have been updated since we last spoke. Of 270 million people worldwide using Canva, more than a third of them are teachers and students using the free product. We now actually have 20,000 schooling systems around the world accessing it, and more than 250,000 templates in the library are educationally relevant and have been created by teachers for teachers. It is a place where you guys can build your teaching CV, your end-of-year slideshow, your staff trivia afternoon slideshow, your classroom announcements, your school newsletters, your posters, your presentations, and have your students create comic strips, demonstrate their understanding through the creation of content, complete worksheets, integrate with your learning management system, and so much more. Today, particularly, we are going to be focusing on Canva Sheets. This is new in the past year, and I know that a picture speaks 1,000 words, so I'm going to actually let this next visual tell you a little bit more about it. So imagine all the possibilities that this could give you to help with your administrative load as both a teacher, maybe somebody working in a school administrative role, or as a school librarian. All right, there's a couple of ways that we can get started with our Canva Sheets. You can either decide to use one of the pre-existing templates that you'll find within the Canva library. You can use that as is or customize it to suit your specific needs, or we can create from scratch. We can also bring in or import sheets from outside of Canva, including Google and Excel spreadsheets. So we do have magic formulas, which will allow us to type in a prompt and it will actually spit out the formula for us. So no more needing to memorize or go searching for a formula that you need. Magic Insights will read and interpret the content in your sheet, providing a summary or an insight into it. Magic Charts will turn your black and white data into a nice, clean visual. Magic Write will allow you to type in a prompt that will then produce a result or to fill the empty cells in the table. We also have the ability to mass create content at bulk with a click of a button. What we're going to do is have a little play inside of a learn and play activity here. If you guys just jump on into bit.ly/Canva Sheets play along. This is going to force a duplicate copy of this Learn and Play template in your Canva account. What I love about this is that each time that you type this in, you will get a new, fresh blank template that you guys can then share with your students or your peers if you're showing them any of the cool tricks that we're looking at today. Once you've opened that, we're going to look at just a couple of the pages within here, including how to use Magic Write to assist us with our report writing, how to use fill empty cells to assist us with creating our marking rubrics, and how to use the bulk create function to be able to mass produce content at scale. Let's jump on in. I have my thumbnail preview enabled, which means that I can easily tap between the different pages here down the bottom. And to ensure that yours looks the same as mine, just click on the Pages button down the bottom here and turn it from a scrolling doc into a thumbnail preview. Just before we dive into our 3 tools that we're going to look at today, let me quickly point out some of the cool features that you can access within Sheets to really make it an interactive experience. We won't get a chance to have a look at each of the pages here, but you will have the option to go and play with that a little later on. Once you select your sheet, you'll get a floating toolbar along the top here. And when you select a cell, you're going to have this Actions button here. It's this bluey, greeny, purple gradient, which shows us that it has AI functionality within. You can practice any of these little tools here by clicking on the Actions button, finding each of the different functions down the bottom here and inserting them within a cell. So we do have the ability to add drop-down menus, mention people within here, add a little calendar, a checkbox, links, Canva designs from outside of this particular one, as well as our Magic Formulas tool. A little higher, we're going to go into some of these different tools here in a little bit more depth. Let's head to page 2 now, where you can see that we have a spreadsheet with just some general information about some students. My suggestion is when you are working with your students, reading with them one-on-one or in small groups, maybe you're working with them in a small group math setting, perhaps you are writing anecdotal notes about their behaviour throughout the year. Instead of writing these in a journal or in a notebook, which you then have to digitise anyway, my suggestion is to start collating all of this information inside of a Canva sheet, because I'm going to show you how very quickly we can turn those anecdotal notes into polished report card comments. What you'll see here, and I'm just going to navigate out by zooming down the bottom here so I can see a better view of my spreadsheet. Now, these are just demo students here. So I have my students' names, I have their images, and what I'm going to do is just spend a moment typing in a couple of anecdotal notes about my fictitious students. So if you have this template open, I suggest you write 2 or 3 words about each of them, and then I'm going to show you how you can turn that into a report card comment. You can see that I've just added some words in here that I may have written down as anecdotal notes throughout the year or throughout the school term. And what I'm going to do is then head on over to the blank cells underneath where it says report card comments. And I'm going to select each of the cells by dragging my cursor over the top of them, then heading to the Actions button up the top here before finding the button that says Fill Empty Cells. Click on it and watch the magic happen. This has just taken that cognitive load off me for having to go and take all of the notes that I've taken, put them into a cohesive comment here, and allowed me to then continue to edit or add to it throughout the year. I can continue to make edits on here by clicking on the More Like This, where it will give me additional ideas, or going in and changing the way that it is presented. And there you have it. Your report card comments are written for you. If you loved that one, you're going to most definitely love the next one. So bring your cursor down the bottom here and tap on page number 3. This is the page we'll be working on next. Now, I know we've got people watching from all over the world today, so I am going to demonstrate from the Australian curriculum. If you guys want to head to your curriculum documents and search for your specific subject area, what I've looked for here is my mathematics curriculum, and I'm looking at grade 6. Then I'm going to head on down and find the code associated with a specific content area that I want my students to be assessed on. When I copy that code and I drop it back into the topic button up the top here on the original sheet, once I drop it into there, you'll see that it is now hyperlinked back to the Australian curriculum document on the web. Now, depending on how you guys set up your marking rubrics at school, yours might look a little different, but we generally tend to use 5-point rubric scales in Australia. I'm going to leave this top line here for both my headings and my sub down the side, so I'm going to add an additional cell and row, and I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going across, 2, 3, 4, 5 going down, and head on up to the Actions button up the top here, and again I'm going to click on Fill Empty Cells. What the AI is going to do is head on back to the Australian curriculum and create a marking rubric that is associated with the code that I dropped in on this sheet. I can go ahead and continue to edit or customize this prompt before inserting it into my space. And now you can see that I have my marking rubric ready to go. But what I love about this is that I can continue to modify this and create a student-friendly one for their assessment task as well. Now bring your cursor down to page number 4 and tap on this page. We have a couple of different ways that we can demonstrate bulk create, but what I'm going to get us to do today is look at the certificates one. As we all know, a bit of positive reinforcement never goes astray. So tapping on there, you'll be able to access the link above, and I want you to open that template up in a new page. Once that's opened, you'll be able to zoom on out to have a better look at the content that we've pre-populated for you guys for the purpose of this activity. Always remember that in this particular Learn and Play, as well as the Learn and Play that we've got over here, we have all the instructional materials down the left-hand side here to walk you through step-by-step how to use the different tools and functions within Canva Sheets. Back on this template here, you can either follow along with what I'm saying or read down the left-hand side here if I'm going a little too fast for you. But what we've got here is we have some students' names and a reason for a certificate. Perhaps this is for an end-of-year award, or maybe this is your ongoing behaviour management strategy within your class or your school. I've also linked it to a template within the same document, but I'm going to show you how you can add other ones from the Canva library or other ones that you've already customised and bring them into this project as well. So back on page number 1, what we're going to do is select all of the white cells that have text in them. So hovering over the student name, the reasons for certificate, and scrolling on down to select all of the students and all of the reasons that they're receiving that award. Up the top here in the Actions button, we're going to look for the bulk create function. So scroll on down and check it out. This is going to get us to just double check we've selected the correct cells. Click continue. And because I already have a design built into here, I am going to continue with a current design, but I can bring in designs that I've created or from the Canva library by searching, or any of my brand kit templates there as well. Let's click on continue with current design so that we can use the certificate we've already embedded within this template. You can see here that I only have 2 spaces where I need to customize my content. On your student certificate spreadsheet, we had our student name, our reason for certificate. Over on my template, I have 2 data fields that I need to now connect. So head on over to where it has the student's name, and up the top in the floating toolbar, you're going to see a button that says Connect Data. Click on that one and select the correct one. This is the space for our student's name, so I'm going to connect that one. I'll know it's connected because it has this little purple box around it, and it's connected to the side here. Let's click on Reason for Certificate and connect that data as well. Now, down the left-hand side here, we have a couple of different options. So we can create 7 different designs, or if I head on Advanced Options, my suggestion to save your sanity as well as your printing time is to select the one that says one design with multiple pages. This will mean that you do not need to download all 7 designs and print them individually. You'll only be downloading one design and printing them all off at the same time. So click on that one, click Create Design, and check out what happens to our original sheet. It's now embedded each of those templates within here, and I'm going to tap on them to be able to access them. So you can see here that I have my student, the reason for their award, and that every one of these certificates is different, personalized, and customized. Now, if you want to take this outside of Canva to be able to print it, head on up to the top right-hand corner where it says Share, and you're going to select the Download button. Up the top here, you have the option to download as different types of formats, but my suggestion is to drop on into the PDF, click Download. It's going to send it to your Downloads folder, and I'm just going to access this now to show you what it looks like. Here we go. We can print all of them off at the same time. Once you finish practicing bulk create, head on back to your original Learn and Play so I can quickly just show you some of the other ways that you can use sheets. This you can practice in your own time a little later on. Over here on page 6, this is where we can just practice using some of the different actions buttons. When I click on the next page, we can practice using our formulas. Over here, we can create a chart or a graph using all of the data in the cells. We can even practice using this to collect our scores during our sporting games. Continuing on, we have the ability to look at our Magic Insights tools where we're going to interpret and summarize the content within the cells. We can also use our Magic Write pencil to help create content. And finally, a little cheat sheet at the end to help support you going forward. Before we wrap up, I wanted to show you a couple of cool tools that you'll find within Canva that you can also link to your sheets. The first of these is forms. This is such a great way for you to be able to assess your students and to be able to collect that data and use all of the tools that we've just looked at, as well as to be able to use some of the AI to help direct future teaching and learning experiences. To access forms, you're going to head on down the left-hand side here to the Elements button. When you click on that, you'll notice a bunch of categories underneath, and there's a green one here called Forms. If you're familiar with using forms in other programs, what I love about this one is it's got a bunch of preset styles that you can choose from, but you can go in and customize these and have them capture data in a variety of different ways. Select one from one of these categories here. I like the idea of a social emotional check-in, so I'm going to tap on this one here, and you'll see that it's embedded it straight within my design here. I can customize the color, font, and the style up the top here in the floating toolbar, and I can edit the way that this behaves by clicking on the edit button here and changing how it's formatted. So clicking on the types of questions here, I might have some text boxes, and I can also modify the settings. When I'm ready to share this with my students, there are a couple of ways that I can do that. I can assign it via classwork within Canva, but you can only do that if you have established your classes already. If you have a learning management system integration enabled, you can also assign that way as well. If you wanted to share this with people who don't necessarily have access to a Canva education account, perhaps you are polling parents, you might want to share this as a public view link. So click on the share button and head on down to where it says public view link. This is going to turn it into a website that's not searchable on the web. However, anybody with access to it is then able to interact with the content within here. So once I drop this into a new page, you'll see that I can now interact with the quiz. Once we have had our responses saved by the people that we've sent this to, we can now collect that data in a sheet. So head on back to your original template where the original quiz was. You can then tap on the quiz, and up the top in the floating toolbar, there's a button here that says Responses. Click on that one, and you'll be able to see all the people that have responded to this question. If they are not signed into a Canva account, it will say anonymous. If you are using this with your students and you want to be able to collect the information of who answered what, my suggestion is to have them signed into a Canva account. or build within your form a text box for them to add their name. You can then link this to a sheet to view the responses and use some of the actions there for further teaching and learning opportunities. Another thing that I wanted to briefly show you is the ability to turn any text box into its own interactive quiz as well. So you can use any text box that's already built into an existing template, or you can type your own content straight into here and turn that into an interactive quiz. So I've written here, Jo is a Canva learning consultant who shares the joy and magic of Canva with teachers and students around Australia. When I tap on that text box, you'll notice that I get a smaller floating toolbar here with a little blue pen. Click on that and head on down to the button that says Generate Quiz. The AI is now going to turn the content from within that text box into its own interactive question. There we go. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger so it fits on my page a bit better. And again, just like my other one, I am able to edit how this looks up the top here, and I can go in and customize the actual questions and answers as well. I can share this the same way to be able to collect my data and then send it onto a sheet at the end. Just before we finish up, I wanted to point out to you guys where you can access all of Canva's inbuilt resources. It's at a place called Design School. You do not need to head outside of Canva to ask Canva for support. All of their cheat sheets, tutorials, explainers, activities, learn and plays, and even a whole bunch of certifications are available and built right within the software. Let me show you how you can find that for yourself. On my Canva homepage, I can head on down to the left-hand side. Some of you might have the Design School button here, but I'm going to hover over the three little dots and select the one that says Design School. If after today I've brought up a whole bunch of more questions than answers, you can go on in here and you can search for anything that you need to know about Canva, and you're going to find some support documents within there. I've just opened up this little menu here on the left-hand side to be able to quickly tap into any of the different types of resources they have. The ones that I think are really beneficial for you as educators and for your students as well are the certified courses. These are approximately an hour in length. They're self-paced. You'll be able to pick up where you left off, and you'll get a certificate upon completion of each of them. Tap on the certified courses there, and the ones that I think that would be really beneficial for you as a teacher are the Teacher Essentials course. For your students, my suggestion is to use the Canva Essentials course. We also have an Engaged Students with Canva course that will allow you to just understand a whole bunch of ways that you can get your students in and using the software. And for anyone that loves a bit of AI, we have an AI in the Classroom course here that's beneficial for everybody, but particularly teachers. And we have one called AI Skills for Students that's only just dropped recently. It is worth mentioning at this point that all AI tools within Canva are determined at a local level. So you may have access to more tools than your students. Please have a chat with your administrator to see what's been enabled for you and your students before jumping on into any of these courses. Thank you so much for joining today. I really hope that you've been able to take away a couple of new cool skills when using Canva Sheets, Canva Forms, and quizzes.